Many Nigerians have expressed disappointment over the postponement of the 2019 general elections. From the president himself to the main contending political parties, down to the ordinary citizens, voters, and even INEC itself, everyone wishes that this process had gone on uninterrupted. But 12 hours after the announcement of the postponement, tempers are beginning to cool, and Nigerians across the board are beginning to look at the possible values this postponement can bring to our electoral system generally, and the 2019 general elections in particular. As the Nigerian Television Authority reopens its Nigeria Decides studio, this is the course we shall be charting. Welcome to this segment of Nigeria Decides. I am Femi Okeowo. Now, 5 hours to the commencement of the 2019 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, the election management body headed by Professor Mahmood Yakubu, announced the postponement of the election. The commission attributed logistics as a major challenge that necessitated the decision to shift the polls by 1 week. The INEC chairman said the postponement will afford the commission the opportunity to identify the challenges in order to maintain the quality of our elections. However, Nigerians have continued to react to the postponement of the elections both individually and as groups. In his reaction, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed disappointment over the election postponement, and in a statement personally signed by the president regretted that despite the long notice given and preparations both locally and internationally, the Independent National Electoral Commission postponed the presidential and National Assembly elections within hours of its commencement. Some political parties, too, have reacted to the postponement of the general elections. They include the All Progressive Congress, People's Democratic Party, Coalition of United Political Parties, among others, have also expressed their reservations over the shift in the date of the elections. But INEC is now meeting with stakeholders to brief them on the development that led to the postponement of this election by 1 week. So, what is going to play out at the meeting? Are campaigns resuming again since the elections are now postponed? Is it not possible for INEC to proceed with the elections in the states that have taken full delivery of the electoral materials? What about the security of materials already distributed to local government areas in some states? Is this the first time the election of this magnitude is being postponed in Nigeria? These are some of the questions we intend to put forward to our guests as we discuss the developments pertaining to the general elections. Again, this is Nigeria Decides on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, and it's indeed my pleasure to bring you this session along with the great analysts we have here in the studio. Now let me introduce them one after the other. Very close to me, to my left, is Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu. He calls himself a teacher, but he's a researcher and public affairs analyst. You're welcome, Abdurrahman.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have someone who has been neck deep in all this, Ezinwa Nwagu, Chairman, Partners and Electoral Reforms Organization. It's our pleasure to have you on Nigeria Decides.
Thanks, Partners for Electoral Reform.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. And then we also have a public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo. Welcome to Nigeria Decides studio.
Good afternoon, viewers.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's kick off this segment first with our discussion. We will, before we kick off this discussion, we will take this statement by the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, on the postponement of the general elections.
of the implementation of its logistics and operational plan, and the determination to conduct free, fair, and credible elections, the Commission came to the conclusion that proceeding with the election as scheduled is no longer feasible. Consequently, the Commission has decided to reschedule the Presidential and National Assembly elections to Saturday, 23rd February 2019. Furthermore, the Governorship, State House of Assembly, and Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections are rescheduled to Saturday, 9th March 2019. This will afford the Commission the opportunity to address identified challenges in order to maintain the quality of our elections. This was a difficult decision for the Commission to take, but necessary for the successful delivery of elections and the consolidation of our democracy. The Commission will meet with key stakeholders to update them on this development at 2 p.m. on Saturday, 16th February 2019 at the Abuja International Conference Center.
Yes, that was the announcement that brought us to where we are now, the postponement of the general elections by INEC Chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. But before, again, we still have one of our correspondents right there at the heat of activities. Now, if there are any activities, but let's join Mayor Ogidi at the International Conference Center, which was supposed to be the collation center, headquarters of the collation center for the presidential elections. Let's hear you, Mayor Ogidi. Let's have a picture of what is happening at the...
Thank you very much, Femi Okio. You have a very informed team of analysts there to give us perspective to the postponement of the elections. Here I am at the International Conference Center, venue for the scheduled meeting of INEC and other stakeholders following the postponement of the general elections a week ahead. Yes, the diplomatic community is here. The chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has also arrived and also cited the former president of the Zambia, Ropia, Buazani Banda, and a host of others. Behind me, you can also see some international and domestic observers, security men. They're all waiting for the arrival of the chairman of INEC and his team. So let's briefly hear from me, the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Chief Peter Ame, who is the chairman of all the political parties in the country. Of course, they are 91. So, sir, let's briefly hear from you. How do you see the postponement of the elections?
I think that this is not the first time. In 2011, we were already voting when the election was postponed. In 2015, our election was postponed, and we still went ahead to have a perfect election. If you have given people a job to do, and there are logistic issues that will undermine the credibility of the election, I think it is the INEC, the Commission took a right stand. It was an emergency thing. It's something that will put the nation in a way that people were confused as of yesterday night from 12 midnight to daybreak. But this had happened. Way forward is for us to all sit down with the Commission, sit down with the international, the observer and the domestic observer, and fashion out how properly this election will be conducted as a date already set aside. I don't think there's any need for Nigerians to be overheated at this point, or for us to put ourselves under immense pressure, because I know that the electoral umpire is overburdened. And I think that's why I want to stand by the West panel report, that it should be unbundled. And we should have the people who register political party. Do you know that the electoral umpire was even responsible for distributing permanent voters' card? These are cumbersome work, even delineation. The work is so cumbersome that makes the electoral, they do legal activities. So we should have an electoral umpire that only concentrate on the conduct of election in this country. It will make it easier, it will make our election effective, and it will give it credibility.
So what is your advice to your supporters and other supporters of the elections?
Yes, the parties were, one of the major issues that the parties had was that they were not consulted, because we're not just stakeholders, we're critical stakeholders, because without political party in Nigeria, you cannot conduct election. You can't even participate in an election because we have no independent candidacy. Political parties are the mainstream in this stakeholders process. So the parties were really angry. The cause was coming in daybreak. They were angry that no, there was no consultation. Why would the INEC chairman take this decision? But I also reaffirm and tell them that there's a commission already set aside, and they had with the responsibility to take charge of how elections are conducted, and they sat for hours. And so that instead of running a staggered election and putting our credibility of our elections in jeopardy, it's better to do a whole election at once, so that the international community who are here to see us, the African nation who are here to see the giant of Africa conduct a credible election and go back home to their community, please, that a credible election has been conducted in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure talking to you. Femi, okay, well, that's the situation here, and this is exactly 11 minutes after 2. Any moment from now, the chairman, they're already here anyway. They are the situation room, maybe having some discussions behind closed doors. Then we come to the center, the podium, as you can see, is set. So we were going to update you as the events unfold. Thank you very much, and you're looking good.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mie. We certainly will be back with you there. That is the much talked about stakeholders meeting, which is going on now. So many decisions would be reached from that meeting. But then we must continue at this point to look at the feelings of Nigerians, and starting from the #1 citizen, he actually has expressed his feelings about this postponement. And indeed, like we said at the beginning of this segment, our guest here too will be talking about perceptions and feelings. But then let's go first to the first citizen of Nigeria who has sent in his reaction to this postponement, President Muhammadu Buhari.
Gentlemen, I stand before you to read a statement by the President Muhammadu Buhari, on the current national situation. And this is the statement. The President says, "I am deeply disappointed that despite the long notice given and our preparations, both locally and internationally, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, postponed the presidential and National Assembly elections within hours of its commitment. Many Nigerians have traveled to various locations to exercise their right to vote, and international observers are gathered. INEC themselves have given assurances day after day, almost hour after hour, that they are in complete preparedness for the elections. We and all our citizens believed them. This administration has ensured that we do not interfere in any way with the work of INEC, except to ensure that all funds were released to the Commission. The President continues, we now urge INEC to ensure not only that materials already distributed are safe and do not get into wrong hands, but that everything is done to avoid the lapses that resulted in this unfortunate postponement and ensure a free and fair election on the rescheduled dates. President says, while I affirm my strong commitment to the independence, neutrality of the electoral empire, and the sanctity of the the electoral process and ballot. I urge all political stakeholders and Nigerians to continue to rally around INEC at this trying national moment in our democratic journey. The President says, I therefore appeal to all Nigerians to refrain from all civil disorder and remain peaceful, patriotic, and united to ensure that no force or conspiracy derailed our democratic development. The President concludes by saying, I have decided to move back to Abuja to ensure that the 1400 hours meeting called by INEC and stakeholders is successful. Daura, February 6, 2019. Signed, Muhammadu Buhari, President, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in his reaction there, through his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu. And now we take you here to the studio. And just like the president has done, just like key personalities have done, and again we're going to hear some of them, the political parties and organizations on this segment, let's allow our personalities here who have been following the issues to tell us what they feel. Let me start with someone who, as he walked into the studio, one of the analysts thought he was someone of an object of sympathy. And I said to myself, if you sympathize with him, then what would you do to INEC? This is the chairman of the Partners for Electoral Reforms. When I was introducing him earlier, and you all know, because he's very regular in analysis of electoral matters, he's been neck deep in all this. So, Mr. Ezenwa Nwago, let me allow you to speak for yourself, and by extension, speak for the constituency you have so painstakingly represented in the last few years, indeed in the last some decades, about what's happening at this time in Nigeria.
Well, I think Jide and Abdul Rahman they are also investors in this democratic enterprise, and so they can understand what it will mean for observers who have deployed, for people who have invested both time, resources, emotions, intellect to ensuring that this process gets to the right. So I think that across board, the sentiment of disappointment, of shock, it need not be rehashed anymore. Okay. For me, is to now get away from that. We are in a state of national electoral emergency, in my view. Yeah. And when you have an emergency, you do not do blame games at that time. You don't start recriminating. What you need to do is to begin to see how you get out of it. And the picture that came to me is when you hear things like hurricane, what you see is that citizens immediately rally around, the institutions of state, support them to make sure that the issues that confront them are surmounted. Okay. So we want to have an election. We have had a prolonged labor. We must prevent abortion, and that simply means that all of us at this point in time must get out from that despondency, get out from the feeling of disappointment and shock and embarrassment, and put INEC where it has to on daily basis, if you like. Put out to Nigerian people where we are in the next 7 days to say, look, let's understand transparently, honestly, which of the states did we have challenges? What are we doing now? So that it doesn't get to Thursday we're expecting another press conference to start telling us on daily basis. As citizens, media, everybody, we need to all put our hands together at this time to make sure that we get out of these bad pangs and deliver this baby. The joy of delivering that baby will take away the shame, will take away the embarrassment, will take away the pains and the disappointment that we have seen.
Oman, your thoughts as we commence this segment of the analysis?
Well, I want to commend INEC.
Yes.
I want to commend INEC in the sense that we have a tradition in this country that we have emergencies, as he rightly pointed out.
Okay.
And the next thing you continue to hear is we're on top of the situation until the situation gets out of control.
My apologies, please. Let me take one of our reporters who is on the streets of Abuja, Sani Abacha Way, in Nnamdi Odigbo there. He's going to be talking to us about what it looks like on the streets. Nnamdi, I hope you can hear me. I see you are touching your connections. What has it been on the street? You expected a full day today, but let's share with you what you have experienced so far.
Like you rightly said, well, currently somewhere in the center of the city, precisely somewhere, if you just look behind me, that's the popular Sani Abacha Way, which leads from the city center, from the central business district onto Utako and the Gwarimpa axis of Abuja. Well, it's a picture of the picture you have that we've just shown you is typical of Abuja during the holidays. In fact, this is vintage Abuja during the holidays, but of course it's to be expected, and this is in response to the announcement at the early hours of today by the Independent National Electoral Commission calling for the postponement of the exercise. Earlier today we brought you an update on this where we gave you, or we did say how sleepy the town was, and I can tell you that not much has changed since then, but of course as the day progresses we expect that the activities will pick up in pace, and of course again this is a response to the announcement by INEC. We have had time to drive around the city center and some suburbs of Abuja, and it's the same picture everywhere. People are taking the opportunity of the announcement to perhaps stay indoor, to perhaps stay with loved ones and just stay indoor, and it's a holiday for them, as it were. We went to we moved earlier we moved from Wuse to Tako and then on to Games Village and towards the National Stadium, and Femi, indeed it's all the same everywhere we've had to go to in the last couple of hours. It's been quiet, it's been calm. People took the announcement with a mix. Yes, Femi, sorry, did you just ask a question?
Where you are standing, Nnamdi, is not too far from the very popular Wuse market. And these are people who don't joke with their business. The market is still not full, as you have stated here. But does that mean that people did not get to know about this postponement, or they still think that there won't be movement, even in spite of the postponement, which is why there's not much activities going on in a place like Wuse market at this time of the day?
The popular Wuse market, of course, like you just said. I mean, earlier when we went there, it was almost empty. That was in the early hours of today, sometime around 8 a.m. to noon. There was about 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. I beg your pardon. But we were there just a couple of minutes ago before we moved on to Sani Abacha Way, and we did notice some improvement. Of course, some stores and shops have opened to customers, and we did notice a couple of prospective customers driving into the market to make a few purchases. I want to say that before the end of today, hopefully it will pick up, not as much as it would be during the normal working days, but of course we expect some sort of improvement in activities in Wuse market before the day ends.
I have noticed the level of security on the streets. Since the postponement, would it mean that the security personnel who were out there deployed to check movement left the place for people to feel free?
Not at all, Femi. While we were driving along Modubelo Way, that's actually close to the city center, the Central Business District, we did notice a couple of police vehicles parked at strategic points and junctions. In fact, if I would just ask the camera to pan a bit to my right, you would notice the presence of some policemen down this way that leads to Zone 3, Zone 4. But they are quite a distance away, but if you look carefully, you see a couple of police vehicles parked that way. Well, if we also did drive around Wuse 2, and we noticed a couple of police vehicles parked at strategic junctions. I mean, of course, it's Abuja. It's always been a quiet city, you know, and of course it's usual to see police presence in major junctions and areas. Of course, they are still there. But, you know, at the early hours of this morning, just before the announcements by INEC made the rounds, we had serious police presence in major junctions. That is reduced a bit, but of course we do know that following the announcement, the police would also have to go back and re-strategize and perhaps make new arrangements in anticipation of next week's election. Femi.
In the studio here, we shall be talking about materials that have already been deployed. You didn't notice any polling center that had a semblance of activity, a preemptive activity, so to say, that had not packed up by the time you visited?
No, Femi, not at all. Not at all. By the early hours of this morning, when we came out initially, we visited some designated polling centers. We did notice and we did confirm earlier in the day too that the INEC ad hoc officers were not on ground. Of course, this was in response to the postponement. News had already made the rounds that there will be no elections, that the elections won't be holding. So I guess there was no reason for materials to be deployed from local government centers to polling units, and that of course would explain the absence of INEC ad hoc officers at designated polling stations. But of course it's sometime around 3:30 now. If INEC ad hoc officers had perhaps visited some sites in the morning, they would have left by this time.
Thank you very much, Nnamdi. As soon as you can get additional information you want to share with us, I'm sure we'll join you. For now, we return to the studio, and Abdurrahman was giving us his immediate thoughts. For now.
Thank you very much, yes. Mr. Femi. You see, we have a situation in this country, and it's a tradition where people that are charged with delicate responsibilities, we continue to lie to the public that we're on top of the situation now and then until the situation degenerates and get out of hand. We're not saying that this postponement has no impact on the lives of the citizens, especially those that have closed their shops, those that traveled far and wide to cast their ballot and then return back to their place of work. Having said that, we need to commend INEC, because election is threatening, is a precarious enterprise in Nigeria, especially the interest it normally generates. So that the confidence that is needed in the process of delivery, once it is lacking, you're going to find yourself in a deep mess. So for me, for INEC to have that very particular push to say, okay, our plan or our plans are not falling in place as we envisage, and that we needed some time to sort them out to ensure that we bring confidence into the process and we're able to deliver, so that peacefully people can choose, and then announcement will be made in terms of returns of those that have won the election. I think it is something that is commendable. People are expressing that this may because of the duration. People thought you could just, third world country are places that are difficult to plan because what it takes to plan most of the times are not available. And then in terms of election, the stakes are high in Nigeria. As INEC is planning, so the political parties are planning, so the politicians are planning. So it is all about who is doing what to beat the system. And if that is the case, logistics are critical in terms of election delivery in this country. Mm-hmm. And then considering the challenge, for instance, I was speaking with somebody, with a friend who is in Taraba, and he said, there are places that, okay, from the state capital, it will take like 8-9 hours to get to. By the time you get to those areas again, the other polling unit, it will take additional 8 hours to get to a lot of them. So people look at logistics from moving electoral materials from the INEC headquarters or to state, to local government secretariat, it's beyond that. It's a whole lot of activities that are daunting. So I want to commend INEC for at least taking responsibility to say that, look, that is the humility I've seen, humility in learning. That, okay, what we are doing, we thought is going to take us to the destination, but we thought we will not get to that destination. But before we get ourselves into crisis and get Nigeria into crisis, let us halt the process. Collectively, we review the process, and then we move on. I think it's something that we should equally commend because it assists to refine the process and infuse confidence in the process.
While agreeing with Ezenwa's position that we should look forward, and actually that's what we said when we were opening the studio, and Abdurrahman's position that INEC was humble enough, Nigerians think that humility did not come early enough. And everyone is saying, yes, we didn't have an inkling into this until it was just a few hours to elections. While we want to move forward, can't we also look at what made it so close to election before we knew that we couldn't go on?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a very sad day for me as an individual. We can't continue this way. It's just not possible. 3 electoral cycles and we are giving justification for postponement. It doesn't look good on us. It just doesn't tally. I mean, we made excuses in 2011, midway. I was in Lagos observing an election when Professor Ataru Jaga at 12 noon announced the postponement of the election. In 2015, we postponed 1 week. On February 7th, the election was supposed to be February 14th. We postponed 1 week. We were on the road doing sensitization and all of that. We were actually traveling from Lagos to Ibadan for another round of sensitization when the announcement came. Fine. 1 week is even good enough because there have not been deployment. But this time, full deployment has been done at enormous cost to the country and to individual organizations that are part of this process. I ask, who compensates civil society organizations who are using donor funds to do this? Who compensates that average person whose wedding or whose social events have been planned for today but had to be rescheduled for next week? Now that person has to reschedule. Who compensates those foreign observers who had already bought their return ticket? They have planned to the last letter how much this exercise is going to cost them. Now they have to review. The campaigners, the electorate, I mean, the political parties and candidates, who compensates them for extra funds they will have to pay for political advice and all of that. I am not against postponement. I am all for it. When you know something is not going right, you know, like somebody said, you cannot go in the wrong direction, open to get to the right way. If you know you are proceeding in the wrong direction, you backtrack. But INEC was giving us assurance and reassurances till Thursday, even till yesterday morning. I was on another program, it was a voter sensitization program yesterday morning with a deputy director in INEC. And we were encouraging Nigerians to go look for their PVCs, get ready, and assurances were still being given as at yesterday morning. For me, we need to know the entire thing that went wrong, what actually went wrong. Beyond the blanket statement that logistics, what kind of logistics? If we know, Mr. Moderator, we are 20 years in this Fourth Republic. We have had, this is our 6th electoral cycle. 6th. 99, 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015. Now the 6th one. What have we learned from the failures of the past? If you fail to learn from the past, you are not going to progress. We know the challenges are there. We can't continue to make excuses for this administration or for the electoral management body all the time. The saddening thing for me is that if at the beginning of this week we have said, all things considered, we have election project plan, we have election management system in place, we have a strategy plan, we have so many things. In fact, this is about the most planned election. This election, INEC announced the date without any pressure 2 years ago on March 9, 2017. And on January 9, 2018, it gave us timeline and schedule of activities. And the law is on the side of INEC. When a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, things are not falling in place, look at your election project plan. Is it funding? Is it vendors that are disappointing you? The red flag will have started showing. Okay. Now, the commission has not about 150 days and not later than 30 days to conduct this election. Yeah. Which that means that if the election could not hold in January or February, it could hold in March, it could hold, election could hold up until April 28, 2019. So it wasn't as if the commission was under any pressure that if you change your date, then heavens will fall. But if it has been done in a timely manner, that will have saved the day for me. Because then the resources that have been deployed, human, material, financial resource, will have been husbanded, will have been kept. And then we will have cut the loss. As it is now, all those poor workers that have been deployed, are you not going to pay them?
Indeed, that's the area I want to go to next. Even President Muhammadu Buhari expressed concern, particularly about the security materials that have already been distributed and deployed. What do you think INEC will be doing particularly about that area, so that they don't, as the President suggested, they don't fall into wrong hands?
We should be feeling a sense of shame as a country that our materials are domiciled in the vaults of the central bank of our country.
Thank you.
There is something shameful about that. Okay? So you have 73 political parties who are expected to go to the CBN with INEC officials and follow the material, taking inventory of what left the CBN and then follow it to INEC and all of that. If the materials are not used, those political parties are not on holidays. They simply go back to INEC and say, return the thing where you brought it from. See, the challenge I have is that I lifted myself to the point where I'm not going to stay on this recrimination. Okay. There's election audit will come. Yeah. You are in the path of having an election. See, sometimes at the risk of immodesty, I think that we adopt this self-righteous attitude. Once it's not us organizing, then anybody organizing
does not know how to
do it. And what do I mean by that? We can all prepare to come to this studio to have this program. Just one wire with everything you have done can put us out of here for 1 week, and you'll be tracing it. We are not making excuses. What you do at that time is not to say, Mr. Femi, you are the one who should have found that wire. what the people want at that time is to
sound.
see us here.
Yes.
So we want an election, 2019 election. We have not held it yet. The reasons for which we have not held it are disappointing, they are frustrating, they are embarrassing.
So you really think that Nigerians should not be apprehensive or afraid about those materials that have already gone out?
I just told you how it is done.
They will return them.
Wait, you as a political party, you follow a process. If you don't go and follow that material from CBN, it's your own challenge. You are supposed to follow the material. That's what we do. Even civil society organizations in off-cycle elections also deployed observers to go and watch materials leave Central Bank. Now they are in the hands of the electoral officials.
Okay.
So if they are not used, you do what is called reverse logistics. Reverse logistics is, we didn't use it. Did you take inventory of what you took? Can you bring that inventory and show that what you took is what you also returned? My challenge, I'm not saying that we are not paid, but what do we want now? We want an election. So I've been everywhere in the last few hours. Oh, the country, we are ashamed of all of that. So if I say that, I've not helped this process in any way, even though I can say it very well. But I've chosen not to say that. I've chosen to say that we have 1 week. When we have this election, God help us, the election goes very well. It has possibility of removing the embarrassment. And that's how Nigerians are. If you play the first match and you lose, they say sack the coach. If you play the second one and win, they say, oh no, there is no better person than this coach, and all of that. We need to bring that mix into the conversation. The despondency is palpable. Okay, we are already dealing with people saying they don't want to vote. You know, this thing is not. But what I have seen in the last few days is that there is excitement. People want to vote. There is enthusiasm on the side of people to vote.
An added determination. Have you seen that in people? An added determination to say, oh, they don't want us to vote, and we would vote. Thank you. Have you seen that?
Yes, I've seen it. You see, that is what we're talking about. Once the process is working, it gives people confidence to exercise their rights. And somebody will tell you, oh, somebody sent me a text message. He said, well, you know, I'm in the opposition and I know the party you are supporting. My PVC is back to the fridge, is chilling, waiting for Saturday to come, which means that he is determined to cast his vote and that he was going to do it, whether there is postponement or no postponement. But what we are saying here is, with due respect to my friend Jide Ojo, what do we want? Is it election for election's sake, or that we want transparent election that will guarantee peace? We've had election for election's sake in the past, where elections were conducted, but the outcome led to crisis and conflict as well as killings. And we've had elections in the past that people did not take to the street, let alone burning of government properties. Now, elections, the 2015 election was postponed, but the postponement did not even impact the determination and the outcome that the people sought. So it is not about postponing it. So what we, in terms of logistics that have gone into it, well, we are pained by it, but there is a simple adage that what is used to stop a war is not more than what war actually consumes. So if we know that if we don't get the process right, it was going to land us where we don't want to be, it is part of the review and the learning as far as I'm concerned. And that is why I said I like the humility of INEC, because they are humble enough to say that, okay, we could not deliver as promised, but we want to take a step backward and then meet with the stakeholders, review the process, and then we go for it. And that is exactly what Ezenwa pointed out in his own comment. Because at the end of it all, by the time we get it right, all Nigerians will come to the street and jubilate. And if we get it wrong, it's INEC. So you don't even allow people to start pushing around when you know that at the end of it all, it is your monkey, because the responsibility is going to be on you and the onus will be on you. So as far as I'm concerned, we've come to the point in Nigeria that we need to be humble in whatever we're doing, to accept that, look, we cannot do it the way we want to do it because it entails review. And if you are reviewing, you will see the lapses that, okay, you can mitigate. There are lapses that you cannot mitigate. There are lapses that will require some time. There are other challenges that may take 2 days, 3 days to sort out. Good. So I think it is part of the development we are witnessing.
Those lapses that we can mitigate are the areas we shall be looking at when we return. But this break is to take more feelers from outside, and it's going to start with the chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC. We get the reactions from that area.
Primary school would have been a beehive of activities at this time if the election was holding. It is Unit 1 of Ward 9 where the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Comrade Adams Oshomole, is actually supposed to vote.
I am not really shocked. I am disappointed. I am disgusted. And I think my party members are totally frustrated because nobody have any inkling that this election was not going to go on. And as you can see from my compound, we spent the past couple of days, mobilizing our agents, our supervisors, everybody that we are expected to put at the various polling booths to make sure that they get there on time and that they have everything they need to be able to carry out their function. And this involves a huge logistic cost. The political parties should behave responsibly. In unison, we should condemn in the strongest term possible this rude shock that INEC has subjected Nigerians to. And it's not just about the political parties, it's essentially about the Nigerian people. But as a party, we have huge costs, both in terms of time, materials, risk. People have traveled. Some state government declare holidays so that people can, those who are in the cities can move to their villages, because most Nigerians like to vote where they are registered. They can only vote where they are registered, and many prefer to register in their villages. I'm here in my village. The president is in his town in Daura. Everybody I called VP is also in Lagos where he registered. Everybody is in his place, just to comply with INEC guidelines.
The electorates who have relocated from their places of work to their polling areas, no doubt, will not spare INEC for this failure. But Nigerians will have to bear and hope that the commission lives up to its responsibility.
Look at the foreign observers who have traveled, who have budgeted their time, they have booked their tickets, and so on, who are in Nigeria. They are not here at our government is not paying them, at least the serious ones. What do you tell them? I appeal to Nigerians to insist that this election takes place, to insist that it is free and fair, and one way to ensure that this is done is not to be disappointed as to refuse to turn out next Saturday, because good things may sometimes not come easy. But our determination to sustain democracy should not be at the mercy of anybody, including anyone who has mismanaged his own part. Because INEC will come and go, Nigeria remains.
The presidential and National Assembly election will now hold next Saturday, the 23rd of February, in Uzaire, Edo State. David Ire, NTA News.
Now, the All Progressive Congress, APC, has also condemned, as a party, has also condemned the postponement of the elections and urged its teeming supporters to be patient and determined. In a statement by the Director of Strategic Communications of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, said the party received the announcement by the Independent National Electoral Commission of its decision to postpone the elections with great disappointment and disillusionment. Festus Keyamo says President Muhammadu Buhari had since cooperated fully with INEC by ensuring everything it demanded to conduct free and fair elections were promptly made available to it. He therefore hopes that INEC will remain neutral and impartial in this process, with the allegations that this postponement has been orchestrated, according to him, in collusion with the main opposition party. So we continue our studio discussions. Those are reactions from political parties. but Nigerians too have been reacting, and we have a summation of some of their reactions as we continue our analysis in the studio. They said a problem once known is half solved. Is it likely that we know the true problems that created this postponement? Because we keep talking about moving forward, yes, but can we know these problems so as to overcome them?
Exactly my point. INEC hasn't come clean. INEC said identified to give room for identified challenges. Did they tell us what those identified challenges are? We have hold that explanation. Maybe about now, at the International Conference Center, is owing up to those identified challenges. Because, you see, why I'm pained, and I have been like a one-man riot squad for the commission, even not being a staff, not getting paid. I have done, if you read my column in The Punch on Wednesdays, dedicated to mobilizing, conscientizing, educating people to go and be part of this. So how do I convince people again? You know, once beaten, twice shy. And it has becoming the new normal. I hope in 2023 we will not back to the same, oh, let us give them benefit of that and all. Because if we said something went wrong in 2011, something went wrong in 2015, something is going wrong now. When are we going to really be because all those foreign observers that have come have a budget earmarked for this exercise. Now they have to overstay. They are coming to Nigeria at huge cost to them.
Mr. Ojo,
so,
yes, we have all the justification to brood over this.
No, the point
but can we move? Is it possible to still, at the end of the day, applaud a job well done? Is it possible?
It's possible. We did that in 2011, in 2015. We applauded the job well done, and we said we are making incremental progress. But you see, the point being made is INEC owes us better explanation. Yes, logistics. Because what this has done is to give the rumor mill a lot to chew. A lot of people, I've been on a platform in the morning where people say, oh, INEC could have gone ahead with election in 28 states. Who gave that? I've read the text of the press statement by INEC chairman. He didn't talk about maybe they have full complement of materials in 28 states and only in few states. He didn't. So we need to know those identified challenges. When we know, we can be more sympathetic to the cause of INEC. And again, what are measures we are putting in place to make sure that we are not continuously and continually repeating the same mistakes? Because it takes, you see, it's about the integrity of the institution. When you want to build confidence and trust in an institution, its word must be its bound. You cannot, 2 days to election, look at what the Mr. President himself said in his statement, that INEC gave us assurance and reassurances. If you see, many media houses are playing the tape of even as far as Thursday, where the chairman was telling foreign observers that they were ready, they've crossed the T's, they've dotted the I's. So what went wrong in the last 24 hours to warrant this? We need to know. If we do know, all of us are human. I mean, the best of planning can go awry. At individual, at family level, at organizational level, we have had to deal with emergencies. And we will be more sympathetic. But to be economical with information at this point, particularly official information, is not going to help us. And that is what I am demanding of the commission. And that moving forward, this does not become the new normal for us. Because when people are coming to your country to say we want to observe, they cannot continue to have a budget for contingency that is equal to the amount that they would originally have spent if the exercise has been very smooth. So this is it. And then the issue of compensation. Who pays? Who compensates for the distrust that because now we have to reactivate our voter education and mobilization to tell those young students who constitute 51% of the voting population that all hope is not lost, that we can still get it right with this postponement. So it will take a lot, because people will tell you, but you said that, Egbon, you said that last week, you said that in 2015. What has changed? We want to see progress being made. We want to see us overcome this perennial challenge of logistics, perennial challenge of insecurity, perennial challenge of, maybe some external factors did not cooperate with us. We need to get things right, and we have 4 years to plan for this. And it's not cast in stone that the election had to hold today. If we know this about a week earlier and we postpone, we will have cut the loss by at least 50%. And that's my own standpoint on this issue.
Mr. Nwagu,
SNY is good enough.
SNY.
SNY is good.
No, I just want to be formal. Okay. We talk about plan, and INEC certainly will tell you it has been planning. But in the Nigerian situation is that when you head an organization, sometimes it's like you are driving, or you are swimming against the tide. Yeah. You are doing your plans, and some other people are doing a counter plan and dragging you back. Have we seen that in, not necessarily in INEC, but in the polity of Nigeria, being dragged back?
Femi, I don't, you see, today.
I am not using this, sorry please, I am not using this to keep talking about our failures. I am using it to keep looking at how next Saturday will not be another.
I want you to permit me today.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
To be completely, wholly, incurably optimistic.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And I have my reason for that. I said when I started that the three of us in this panel are investors. And I mean it with every sense of responsibility. Yaga Africa, that I sit on his board, deployed over 3,888 observers across the country. We have 80.
But we can't move forward if we don't know what cost our force.
Yes. Let me
okay.
80 data clerks, okay,
yes,
that will process, PVT, statistical information that is coming from those polling units. We have students from Auburn University in the United States who are in country on a learning visit. We have our partners from Ghana who have joined us from CDD in Ghana. We have president of NDI, the vice president of IRI, leading delegation into the country. I know how huge the disappointment is. I'm aware. But I have invested, Jide here has invested a lot of time in inspiring confidence. We had a setback. But if this election had gone on, let's say in spite of the challenges, as they say, it goes on. Yeah. And we get results from, by tomorrow, few results trickling, next tomorrow, another 3 coming, and then we make an announcement. It is all discredited. No, we make an announcement and say, because election could not hold in these states, it will be done the next 2 days. We'll wait for the result. All of us will be going to International Conference Center, Coalition Center, to wait for the number of days it will take to do that. But if there is that painful decision to short the process and say, let us see whether we can ameliorate the things. The thing to do is to tell that my brother that I have continually told that it is about Nigeria. I'm not sympathetic to INEC. I'm sympathetic to the democratic process, which can suffer hemorrhage and bleed to death if all of us do not put our hands on the... Today, our responsibility is to oversight INEC in the next 1 week. And that is why I talked about a national electoral emergency. That when you have an emergency, what you need to do is to make sure that this baby is delivered. This child has to be born on January 23rd. All of us. So the thing that we're doing now is to mobilize everybody to say the sacrifices you've made, all that you have put in should not go to waste.
Okay.
we need to all work together to ensure that 23 comes and gives us peaceful, credible election that is acceptable. Okay. Because the bigger challenge of elections now is acceptability. If you go ahead and people say, oh no, this was skewed to advantage, the scattered election was viewed to advantage person, it is me and Jide and Amiso and many of us that will be running around the same station to quell, and so disinformation will come. These pressures will be there. But as people who are investors, who are working in this process, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to lift ourselves above the disappointments that we feel at this time and mobilize our citizens to oversight INEC from wherever they are. In Imo, you have to go to the INEC office as groups, as individuals, to get a sense of what is going on and how it will be possible for 23rd to come to fruition. If we don't have elections, eventually, on the 23rd, you are pushing the country to a greater precipice. I mean, and that will be worst investment, because these sleepless nights, nobody can compensate. Who is going to pay you? Who will? Even if you shout from now to tomorrow and say you brought people have bought their ticket, you are exciting people. They are happy that okay, we've made a lot of commitment. But the reality of it is that there is a 23rd to face right now, and the time to face it is from this minute.
Abdulrahman, let's begin to follow that line. Give us your thinking of the things, at least based on the information that is available to you, on the things that we need to do, either as a nation or as analysts or as investors in the electoral process or as the conductors of the electoral process itself, that we can begin to do to make sure that eventually 23rd is applauded.
Well, one of the things that has been a challenge in this country is planning and sticking to plan, especially within the context we'll be speaking. In the last 4 years, I have not heard, I have not read, nobody has told me, either by way of gossip or social media fake news, that Nigerian politicians have turned a new leaf of life and that they will not rig election if given the opportunity. Everyone says something which is very pertinent and is something that we need to keep at the back of our minds when we're discussing election. It is a shame that up to this moment, we are now differentiating between sensitive materials that are supposed to be in the custody of CBN, that will take a whole lot of political parties, civil society organizations, security agencies to accompany same. In other countries, one person will sit with electoral material, whether sensitive or not sensitive, and people will come and exercise their vote and judge. Because of what? Because trust. At every point in time, there is trust deficit in this country, especially in the electoral process. The incumbent party does not trust the opposition. The opposition does not trust the party in power. And because of that, a whole lot of energy is dissipated in planning, in ensuring. Okay, look at what it will take to have all the political parties gathered at CBN, CSOs coming to join them, security agencies coming to join them, all the logistics it will take to accompany such materials, to flying by jet, to take it to the state headquarters, another set of logistics again. So, if we are talking, it's not as if it's not as if you kept water in front of you and you just sip it and you drink it. No, it is about people that are desperate to act, that are planning to sabotage, as INEC is planning to outsmart them. So, going forward, for instance, we really need to know who were those persons that were charged with those responsibilities of putting together logistics, and what happened? Do they really sabotage the institution that they swore to work for? And what are the punitive measures that are in place to ensure that those people are adequately dealt with using all the available constitutional means, so that tomorrow they don't find it very, very lucrative to do that? For instance, I was telling myself, close to my house there is INEC office. I just choose not to talk because we're saying that it's not good, we lament. As at yesterday, by 6, 7, 8, 9, the ad hoc staff was still at INEC Secretariat, waiting to be mobilized to go to their various polling units. Now, what we are doing here is to say, okay, all of these gaps have been there, and it has been identified quickly, And INEC has stopped the process in order to audit itself. But it should not stop at auditing itself and allowing people that maybe are found or to have sabotaged the system to go. Because if you do that, it's an incentive for others to do that next time. So what we are saying here is this: we are going to wait for INEC to tell us the reasons for the postponement based on the observed lapses. These lapses, are they human error? Is it mechanical? Is it what? Is it by the error? Is it as a result of inability of those that are supposed to fly the sensitive materials to the designated? So if it is a lapse that is as a result of human error, that is pardonable. But where people deliberately, out of their own selfish interest, decide to sabotage the system and cause the nation untold hardship by imposing on them a sort of embarrassment that is international in nature and magnitude, is something that is unacceptable. So for me, going forward is, let us take stocks. What went wrong? Is there human error? Is it technical? Okay, is it a sabotage? And if it's a sabotage, who does what and at what point? And then what are the punitive measures to ensure that those people are adequately punished to mitigate something like this, to ensure, that something like this does not happen in the future.
Thank you. We'll take another break for a very important story just coming in. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, has formally apologized to Nigerians, and especially the supporters of this government. And the President has apologized for the inconveniences suffered following the postponement of the general elections by INEC. The President stated this while speaking exclusively to NTA's State House correspondent, Adamu Sambo, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja. This was shortly after he returned to the nation's capital from Daura after failing to cast his ballot due to the rescheduling of the polls 1 week later.
Your Excellency, we understand you are not happy about this postponement of the election. Why are you so disappointed?
Yes, because INEC has all got the time. It is supposed to work according to their program. They were given all the resources, they had all the time, and they kept on telling us up to the last minute that they are ready. The fact that they are not ready, there is some inefficiency along the line. Thank you very much.
Tell your supporters nationwide.
Well, they should be patient. Let them come a week today and go and vote again. I apologize for this inefficiency because they have to use their own resources to go back to their polling units, wherever it is, at their own expense if they are all that committed.
This is Wuse Market. The market was opened moments ago. As you can see, traders are coming in to go about their daily activity after the sudden postponement of the 2019 February 16th and March 2nd elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, citing logistic challenges. Now, how does this affect women who have the highest percentage of voting population in Nigeria? Let's hear their views.
The market, everything is closed down, nothing is happening. The economy has been, you know the percentage of the economy we've lost just for today?
It's surprising to everyone and waste of time, money.
I left my house yesterday from Airport Road to Wuse 2. I spent the night with my sister here in Wuse 2. Just early in the morning, over the radio, I learned that it has been postponed. I wasted my fuel. I left my children at home, and look at me now, I'm now on my way back home.
So many people traveled yesterday just for this election, and just to discover that it wouldn't hold. And what do you feel those people will, how would they feel?
It came as a surprise, because if
a nation at this age cannot get it right, then something is wrong with the foundation. Kind of disorganize people's movement and what they plan to do today. I'm not happy.
That's the situation report here from the Wuse market in Abuja. I am Bossede Able, NTA News.
Okay, we have another report coming in from Delta, and let's take it.
I am standing on Inebisi Road. It's a road that is usually busy. Beside me is Uzigwe Primary School. That is where some persons are supposed to have cast their votes today, but for the postponement. And I have standing here a voter who came out to vote.
There wasn't any information as per voting, or we're told to vote, so I just came out to vote. It's annoying.
The problem in this election is that we are not prepared. You know, under 24 hours, that everybody is ready for the election, and we are ready to vote to our own candidates. Under 24 hours, we just cancelled.
In terms of this postponement, they should have given us a better time than this 9-minute information.
I wait because of it 5 a.m. this morning to come and cast my vote, but I'm hearing it, I was not happy.
Did you know the election has been postponed?
No, I don't know before. I come with my ID, my voter's card, so that is this thing. So now I say the no shift time. We thank God for everything.
If actually that they are serious and they want to postpone the election, it could have been preformed before the time.
I'm a Nigerian, but I based in South Africa. I'm here to cast my vote in Nigeria. Suddenly this morning, I had the news that the election was cancelled. And why the election was cancelled? We really want to know why.
People left everything they're doing and they came to the field and they realized that everything is postponed, and it's somehow.
A cross-section of Deltans reacting to the postponement of the election. It is hoped that when this election is eventually rescheduled, they will all come out with the same enthusiasm to cast their votes. From Asaba, I am Thelma Eliog, NTA News.
Thank you, Thelma, and Damu Sambo actually, and then Bosse De Abel for all your reports. And we still have reports coming in. The Buhari Media Organization has also sent in its own reaction to the postponement of the election by INEC. Here is the reaction. Okay, the reaction actually says that the media organization, in a statement signed by its chairman, Niyi Akishiju, and secretary, Kasidi Madwike, says it was disappointed that the INEC chairman allowed the commission to be infiltrated by opposition elements. The pro-Buhari group also recalled that it once drew attention to possible infiltration of the commission by opposition elements through a former INEC chairman, but it was not aware that the commission did much to arrest the situation. The postponement has been orchestrated, according to the statement, in coalition with the main opposition. Let's take the reaction of the presidential candidate of the PDP. The PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, says he was shocked over the postponement of the 2019 presidential and National Assembly elections as announced by INEC. The presidential candidate said his party caucus will be meeting in Abuja, after which they will react to the postponement. He, however, called on the electorate to be calm and come out on the rescheduled date to cast their ballot. So let's return to the studio, having had more feelers from the streets, and see what Nigerians are talking about and how they are feeling. And joining us already in the studio is Samson Utodo, the Executive Director, IAGA Africa. You're welcome to Nigeria Decides.
Pleasure to
We have been on it. I'm sure you two have been talking with your constituency all around the world, I'm sure. But let Nigerians hear from you. Don't know how you feel as a person and how IAGA is reacting to this postponement.
I've been following this this program, and Ezenwa has been advancing the viewpoint of IAGA, because we did issue a statement this afternoon or this morning on our position. And first is to say that we are very disappointed, the same way Nigerians are disappointed, that despite the assurances that we got from the Electoral Commission that the Commission was ready, we grappled with this challenge of election logistics, which has become part of our pathology of elections in Nigeria. And this is very, very disturbing. But then, the country must move on. And we have to move away from this. So the question is, if this election were not postponed, or what could have been the best option available to us? And for us at IAGA, and our statement is very, very clear that the decision to postpone this election was right. Else we would have had a disaster to actually manage. And as IAGA, who we deploy PVT, as at yesterday evening, we were already having conversations that we are very, very concerned that polling units, over 50% of polling units will not be opening by 8 o'clock. If these elections were not postponed, you will have a situation where people will go to the polls and there will be insufficient materials. And that's totally unacceptable, especially the Commission and the assurances that it gave Nigerians. And so for us at IAGA, we believe that the Commission do owe stakeholders an explanation. I've just come from a meeting where the INEC chairman briefed heads of missions, and he's laid about 7-point action plans of what the Commission is doing. And I know as he will address the stakeholders today or in a short while, he will share some of these issues. And based on the feelers from the Commission, that this postponement had nothing to do with security. It had nothing to do with any form of political interference, that it was simply an operational issue. And if it's operational and has to do with logistics, for us at IAGA, we have said that beyond tendering an apology, if there were any form of internal sabotage within the Electoral Commission, there is need for INEC to come up and tell Nigerians and then take actions. But what the chairman did say from this meeting, and just for the purposes of informing the public, and he did say first it was simply around operational issues, that the volumes of election materials that came into the country, when the time came for the internal distribution, there were several issues, and there was no capacity to distribute the materials to the different states, as the case may be. And for us as citizens, the question we would ask is, didn't the Commission actually foresee this? Didn't it make adequate preparations for this? And that is where we should have a lot of questions to ask the Electoral Commission. But INEC has gone ahead to say over the next 1 week, this is what's their plan, that from tomorrow, by tomorrow, they will complete the deployment of election materials to the states as by Monday 18th. And then the Commission also said they were going to conduct this election, reschedule the election for 48 hours. And that was the initial plan. But when the IT department gave their report to say that reconfiguring the card readers, because the card readers needed to be reconfigured, and we have about 180,000 smart card readers that were already deployed, and they were deployed to only function today that was supposed to be the elections, and INEC would need to reconfigure the card readers. And it will take about plus or minus 4 or 5 days for the Electoral Commission to reconfigure the card readers before they are suitable for deployment for elections. And so for reconfiguring the card readers, and those card readers are currently being retrieved from the states down to the state headquarters, it's going to take between Tuesday and Thursday. So by Thursday, they will conclude the reconfiguring of the card readers. And then on Wednesday or Thursday, the receipt and deployment of sensitive materials to the local governments will commence midweek. And then on the 21st, INEC is going to conduct a refresher training for its ad hoc officials before the elections. And then 22nd, the RACs, the registration area centers, are going to be activated before the elections on the 23rd. This is the new operational plan which the Electoral Commission has shared, indicating that it's actually preparing for Saturday. But again, this is not the first time the Commission is sharing operational plans. Yeah. And I know that yes, the Commission should learn from this experience, and citizens do have a role to play in keeping watch over the implementation of this plan. I'd like to see that from tomorrow, citizens and the press are asking INEC, you said you were going to complete deployment of materials at the state by Monday 18th. Have you done that? Show us evidence that you've actually done this. But we need oversight on how INEC implements this operational plan between now and Saturday. You know, a question was asked directed to the chairman to say, do you think it is realistically possible to conduct this election within 7 days? And he gave the assurances that yes, that the Commission is adequately prepared to conduct this election. And the Commission was prepared to conduct this election even today, but because of the sensitivities of Sunday, and people have to go to church, and the restriction of movement, and then Monday, but the card reader issue came up, and so INEC needed that time. And this is what the Electoral Commission has actually said. And my point, and for us at YAGA Africa, is that citizens have a role to play. And the fact that this postponement has come...
If citizens ask, have you done this? And they reassure you that they have done it the way they did previously, what can the citizens do? The citizens are not in a position to actually monitor on ground.
No, the citizens, you see, there are different layers to this. The citizens have a role to play. And what role is to continue to demand for accountability. If INEC procurement ensure that a vendor was made...
Thank you very much. Yeah. We appreciate this update you have given us. But the real thing is about to start at the International Conference Center. Mio Gidi is there. He will be our guide to the official briefing of Nigerians through all stakeholders that are gathered at the
venue of the meeting. And any moment from now, the meeting will start. Before now, the INEC chairman and the election management team, they have been holding meeting with some key stakeholders inside the situation room of the International Conference Center. Right now, they have come to the conference room where all party agents, including the chairman of the All Progressives Party, and as well as other members of the PDP, political parties, they're all gathered here. So even the ambassadors from some countries are here. So let's see how the meeting goes. We're going to update you the details of it subsequently. Thank you. Back to you, Femi.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think we should remain at the International Conference Center to hear what they have to say, if they are actually ready. But if not, we can continue our own analysis here. Okay. So it's just as well that the stage is set for Nigerians to hear formally. But thank you for the privilege information that we have. But I was asking, and you were going to explain the stages, but because they have assured us, Nigerians have always monitored through the media, through the civil society organizations, how far have you gone, how far, and up till yesterday they were giving assurances. So if they gave assurances as per this timetable you have given you, what can the citizens do?
First, the citizens have...
okay. Sorry, please. The chairman is ready to take the microphone, and we'll go back there.
First and foremost, I think it was a very frank discussions. Yeah. The party chairman, the electoral stakeholders, including the accredited observers, did not mind word about how they felt about the situation. And in fact, somebody was even calling for some measure of compensation that those who want to travel back from their homes should get 50% rebate.
Oh, he was talking about
persons with disability.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a good enough, but that will be corporate social responsibility of those transport companies. Yes. It cannot be borne by the INEC. The point is that everybody has spoken very clear, frankly. You see, disagreement does not mean that you hate or you despise or you want something not to succeed. It's about our, you know, some people are quick-tempered, some people are broad-minded, but we are all humans, first and foremost. The point is, the takeaway, one key takeaway is that INEC chairman has said that next Saturday is sacrosanct, and we have to hold him to account on that. He has also said that reverse logistics will be done in the presence of everybody. He's actually heading to the airport to be sure that all sensitive materials are retrieved and banked with the central back to the central bank vault. He has given timeline within which all the pre-election activity for the next 1 week will happen. So it is for you and I, media, civil society, political parties and candidates to oversight INEC, to say that, okay, we have our representative here and there, this is what they are reporting to us, this is scope for comfort, we don't want to repeat. So, so give the commission a benefit of doubt. We have no institution that can conduct election. And like many of the stakeholders said, it's time for us to work assiduously, join hands together to ensure that this election succeed, because election of leaders for the next 1 year is very critical to moving the country forward, even in terms of national development. So it is very good that this stakeholders meeting has held. We have spoken our minds, both here and over there, including those who were asking for apology, and they got something. They got apology, and I think we are ready. We have already forgiven INEC. Okay. It is for us to now have better elections next week.
Abdul Rahman, what are the striking things for you from this stakeholders meeting?
Well, the first for me is the fact that INEC's independence came out clearly.
Oh, great.
It's something that we've been craving for, we've been asking for. For the fact that the president said he was deeply disappointed because he never knew it would be postponed speaks volumes. To some other persons, it is a sign of failure or weakness on the part of the president that is not aware. But INEC is an independent body, saddled with responsibilities to conduct election. And that brings me to the part that made impact on me when the INEC chairman said, we take full responsibility. For whatever has happened, it is our sole responsibility. Moving forward, those persons, I want to make a statement that we need to underline. Those persons that orchestrated, that funded the removal of Amina Zakari, who has conducted more than 3 off-season elections without any issues in terms of logistics, which formed the basis upon which she was appointed based on her competence. And then she was replaced by another person. And that person could not give us the logistics that we wanted to be able to conduct this election. I hope they will have the heart and the boldness to also own up and apologize to Nigerians.
But was her last appointment on logistics, or
yes,
was
she
it
was
on
she was supposed to chair
collation center?
No, she was supposed to chair that. Okay. She was supposed to chair that. So now what has come out clearly is this, that we should not sacrifice competence on the altar of some flimsy excuses that will not assist this nation.
Okay.
The other thing that has come out of this very particular interaction for me is the fact that most of the political parties operated as equals. There is no preference. Yeah. There is no bullying. There is no sort of arrogance with which the ruling party will always brag in Nigeria. Yeah. So for me, overall, there are three critical lessons for me. One, as I said earlier, on the independence of INEC, which means that INEC is responsible, as Professor Yakub has owned up, and that whatever has happened, it is INEC, and we will continue to hold INEC accountable. Going forward, we know that nobody is pushing INEC to act based on what he has said.
It is, in addition to that,
yes,
he also clearly said this is not a security matter.
Yes, yes, he said it is not security, it is not anything else but logistics issues. And we are saying that going forward, we should be able to learn from lessons, from experiences. And that, for me, are key things that is showing that our democracy is maturing, and that INEC is a thinking institution, and that and I have said it earlier on, for INEC to even take that decision, to even say, look, however bad it is, we know that we cannot proceed, and we will not set Nigeria ablaze, and we are going to take all the blames, and Nigerians have been blaming INEC. A lot of us, we've been saying it, and we've expressed our grievances. What we want now is a credible election that will certify all the requirements of the law, that will meet international standards. So going forward, not only the civil society organizations, the media houses, in our churches, in our mosques, on the street, we should be committed to ensuring that all the pre-election, the activities leading to delivery, in terms of the reconfiguration of the card readers, the reverse logistics, as given, the timetable as given, we should follow it religiously and ensure that not less than the day he said they are going to finish, which is on Friday, before the election, all of those logistics are in place for the election.
Now, thank you very much for those areas of observation. But let's begin to pick one or two other key areas. It emerged there that INEC is really overburdened with responsibilities. But INEC chairman himself said that they are overburdened by court cases, including court orders that came, part of which came in the last week. Yesterday, Friday, actually. Exactly. Can we do anything about that on the immediate run?
It's rather unfortunate. INEC is not the one that conducted the party primaries. There were crisis reading, rancorous, where internal democracy was observed in breach. And you could see all of them sanctimony, pontificating,
making it look as if
they are perfect. Yes, they had their own primaries. Many of them postponed their primaries up to 5-7 times. But they are now making, a mockery of INEC because they have seen a scapegoat. They created the part of the problem for INEC. 640-something...
644 cases involving INEC.
In which 644 pre-election
matters,
dispute petitions, in which INEC has been joined. Now, just imagine, INEC is not in any way responsible for the conduct of those party primaries. It was done as internal affairs of the parties. But look at the overwhelming involvement. Look at the huge cost to even the commission. Because even though it's not the plaintiff, not the defendant, it is being joined because it's the one that is the empire.
Carry out the instructions, the orders of the court.
Now, I think our law courts, and the good thing for me is that there is now timeline for pre-election matter to be disposed of. It's just that unfortunately, courts are still giving decisions one way or the other, particularly for INEC.
Pre-election matters don't have a timeline.
From the last constitutional amendment that was signed last year, there is now the same pre-election, the timeline for pre-election matter to be disposed of, just like post-election matter. It's just that the pre-election matters will now have, you have to file your cases 14 days after the for filing, then 180 days at the trial court, that's High Court or Federal Court, then 60 days at Court of Appeal, 60 days at Supreme Court. Unlike the situation we had in which Isaac Alpha was just being declared as the winner of Kogi East senatorial election, just last week. And he's going to leave office alongside with his colleagues if he gets sworn in on maybe June 9 or whenever the National Assembly ends. But the problem is now, INEC is being dragged here and there, and is not able to focus primarily on the conduct of election. But again, we need to hurry very slowly. As we call for unbundling of INEC, we are also creating a bigger bureaucracy that can impact negatively on the efficiency of the commission. For instance, if we have a separate political party registration and regulatory commission, if we have a separate voter registration commission, if we have electoral offences commission, all of their activities will still have to be implemented by the INEC. So if they don't perform their own work professionally, it will impact negatively on INEC. It is good that INEC has oversight of all of what is happening. The one that everybody is unanimous on is the Electoral Offences Commission, that if it is established, it can send the right signal in terms of punishment, in terms of arrest, investigation, and punishment of electoral offenders.
Now, Abdurrahman, let's look at one very delightful news too that some of you know, but which is not known to Nigerians. The allegations have been flying around that people have printed ballot papers and all that. Now we know that the card readers are configured to a particular area. Particular date of election. So it's configured to Saturday.
But you see, when things like that continue to fly on the cyber space, people that are doing that have lost touch with the innovations that have taken place in INEC. Most of the innovations that have taken place in INEC will not even permit the smuggling in of already printed ballot papers, because at the end of the collation and the counting, once the total votes declared exceed the total number of accredited voters that cast their votes, automatically that unit is cancelled. So the configuration is just to reinforce the fact that the processes have been refined to the extent that things like smuggling in ballot papers will not be easy as it used to be. So INEC, and that is why I refer to INEC as a learning institution, because what has happened over time is that there is a refinement of whatever achievement. So there is steady upping of significant improvement that has been achieved. And where any society you have that happening within institutions of governance, the chances are that those governance institutions will deliver. And that is the main reason that some of us are relaxed. And then by the time we speak, people thought, okay, maybe we are praising INEC unduly. When INEC was not performing, we are at the forefront of crucifying INEC. And when we have INEC that was willing to listen to stakeholders and then improve the process, we work together collectively with Professor Tairu Jega, and then we improve the process. And now that the process has been taken to the next level, despite the challenges, we are equally there to point out here and there what needed to be done. And that is what we are doing.
I feel like we're actually going to end this session. It's been a very long and session for us but an educating session too. I feel like saying that all is well that ends well, but that saying would only affect today. Today started as one of the saddest days in Nigeria, but the day is ending on a stage of no hope for the country, in spite of the very sad way it started by the postponement of the election. The level of education in which Nigerians have spoken, the way political parties have spoken, the way stakeholders have spoken, and the way our analysts have been able to bring these things closer to you gives us hope that on the immediate run, the 23rd of February would be a day that would eventually usher in a successful election. And moving on from there, Nigeria will learn from its past. Thank you very much for being faithful to this channel, to the Nigerian Television Authority, that has, through this session, brought you the happenings for the 2019 general elections. Of course, the Nigerian studios, for Nigeria Decide Studios, will reopen again to begin to look at happenings for the eventual conduct of the presidential and National Assembly elections on the 23rd, as it has been rescheduled, and on the 9th for governors and state assemblies of March, as that too has been rescheduled. Thank you once again, and that marks the end. On behalf of the Nigerian Television Authority, we want to say have a nice day.